Today we're ranking every item in Mario Kart World from worst to best. I'll go through each one, tell you the pros and cons, and then we'll see where it ranks on our tier list. Let's kick things off with one of the classic Mario Kart items and also one of the most common in the game, the banana peel. These slippery obstacles cause vehicles to spin out of control if they run over one. They can also be thrown out ahead of you to try and hit an opponent. It's going to throw it in a bit of an arc and may or may not hit your target. One of the best benefits of the banana, though, is its use as a defensive item. They can block incoming shells, which actually makes them a nice item to see when you're out in front. They're absolutely useful, but they're definitely items much stronger out there. For banana peel, we're going with C tier. Next up, we have another classic item that's been in the series since the beginning, the green shell. These travel in a straight line and will crash into drivers, stalling them momentarily. Like the banana, they also double as a defensive item. When thrown though, they're definitely more precise and faster. They'll also ricochet off walls, which can sometimes backfire if you aren't careful. For the green shell, I'll stick with C tier and just above the banana peel. Now, if you guys are a Nintendo fan enjoying this video and want to see more Switch 2 content, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future videos. We're going to be covering a lot of Switch 2 here on the channel. Now we've got the Fire Flower, which first appeared in Mario Kart 7 on the Nintendo DS. With this one, you can quickly throw a series of fireballs that bounce off walls. They'll also cause other players to spin out of control if they hit. In the middle of a crowded group of karts, these can be absolutely deadly for multiple racers around you. But there's one thing here we haven't talked about so far, and that's the fact that in Mario Kart World, everything seems to hit just a little bit less hard than it did before. Karts recover faster, and that's most likely because of the increased player count in every single race. When it comes specifically to the Fire Flower though, the biggest benefit here is how you can use them multiple times. Unlike say red shells though, you only have a limited amount of time to use them. They can also be used defensively if you throw them behind you and have just the right timing. Their offensive firepower and multiple uses is definitely enough to land them firmly in the B tier. Our next item made its debut in Mario Kart 8 and offered players an effective way to destroy incoming spiny shells, the Super Horn. Making a return here in Mario Kart World, the Super Horn is back and seems to appear way more often. You can use it in the middle of a group to knock back multiple karts. Of course, it still has its spiny shell destroying properties and can also take out other incoming projectiles, although you do have to be careful with the timing there. The Super Horn is only a single-use item though, which for me keeps it short of our first S tier. At the same time, it's a great all-around item that you can easily put to use in just about any situation. I've got it as a solid entry here in our A tier. The Feather also returns in Mario Kart World, and this item sends you high into the air, letting you avoid incoming items like bananas and shells. It has an extra use in battle mode that lets you fly over a rival and steal balloons or coins. I think the best use for the Feather right now is using it to cut off parts of the track to shave seconds off your lap times. I can honestly see this item getting even stronger though as players learn to master Mario Kart World's wall riding and rail grinding. I'm sure we'll see some of the most high-skill players pull off some amazing techniques using the Feather. For the vast majority of players though, I just don't see the Feather being a strong item. I definitely don't think it's D tier, but right now I just can't go any higher than C tier. Alright, we already ranked the single banana and now we have the triple bananas. We definitely get the strong defensive properties here as it can block incoming shells and fireballs, plus you have the added benefit of it protecting you from all sides when all three bananas are present. Losing even one of them though definitely leaves you open for an attack if it hits at just the right angle, which unfortunately could be the shells right behind you in many cases. The triple banana is slightly more effective for attacking other karts, however. If you crash into another kart or even get just close enough, you can send them spinning out with one of your bananas. This one is a step above the standard banana, but definitely not enough for the A tier. We'll fit it here in B tier instead. Now let's go ahead and do the triple green shells, and it's a similar conversation here. These are great for defending your kart. They also offer a bit more firepower than the bananas thanks to the precision you get when you throw them. Now another thing we should point out here, if you haven't figured this out in Mario Kart World yet, you can actually somewhat aim the items. That's right, if you turn your camera, you can actually fire off to the left or right of your kart. So I think this actually gives a buff to items like the green shell here and even the flowers. The Fire Flower can be used more than 3 times, but the timing is limited, whereas you can hold the green shells and use them as needed. For that reason, I think I'm going to slide them just in front of the Fire Flower. Speaking of flowers, it's time to rank the Ice Flower, which made its first Mario Kart appearance in the mobile game Mario Kart Tour. Very similar to the Fire Flower here, you can throw multiple balls of ice that will cause drivers to spin out of control. Here we get a little frozen animation on the kart that gets hit, but in terms of its effect as an item, it seems to be roughly the same amount of time as the effect from the Fire Flower. So with that, we'll put the Ice Flower right next to the Fire Flower in the B tier. Now we have the Question Block, which is a new item here for Mario Kart World. Unfortunately, it only gives you more coins. When I first saw that these were in the game, I hoped they would occasionally have other items pop out, you know, like they do in the Mario games. But here it's just always coins, which you can collect by just rapid fire pressing L. It does give you a slight speed boost when you use these as well, and of course, as you collect more coins, your kart is going to go faster. We're going to talk a lot more about coins here in just a bit, but from what I've seen, it's roughly a 5% speed increase if you have those coins fully maxed out, which is actually 20 coins here in Mario Kart World. Still though, I don't think this is a game-changing item. I'm going to put it in C tier. Another iconic item returns with the Super star, which grants invincibility, makes you faster, and sends other drivers spinning if you manage to ram into them. It also lets you drive across rough terrain and even access shortcuts that require more speed. It lasts long enough so you usually have time to dish out plenty of damage to any carts around. What really makes the star even more deadly though is that you can pair it with something like a mushroom, or even better, a triple mushroom. Because of how the star is used, the moment you press the button, it instantly consumes the star, which frees up your item slot, but you still keep the effect of the star. This helps you turn your entire cart into a speeding burst of energy that can mow down anything in your way, especially when paired with a mushroom. Even if you can't use it offensively, it still provides you with protection and gives you a burst of speed as well. There are definitely times though where you'll use a star and not gain much ground, especially if you aren't pairing it with another item. It's also not really the best toward the end of races, but even still, I don't think that's enough to keep the star from being our first item in the S tier category. Now we have the mushroom, a tried and true item that's been a staple of the Mario Kart series over the years. When consumed, the mushroom gives the driver a brief burst of speed. You can use it to quickly recover after getting hit by another item, or as a way to pass other racers just in front of you. Arguably the most important use of the mushroom though, is how you can use it to access shortcuts and cut through terrain that would otherwise slow you down. You know exactly what you're getting from the mushroom every single time. It's always reliable, and really mastering it is going to be incredibly important to becoming a better Mario Kart player. Over the course of an entire race, how you use these I think has such a big role in how you're going to finish the race. Oh, and the mushroom got a nice buff here in Mario Kart World because the window to escape blue shells with it is even larger now. No doubt about it, the mushroom has to be in the A tier. Next is the red shell, and considering we already placed the green shell in C tier, we have to at least start with that as a baseline. Of course, the red shell has the edge because of its tracking capabilities. It'll seek out the nearest vehicle in front of you and won't stop until it connects with its target or gets destroyed by something else. And like the green shell, it has the added benefit of doubling as an item for protection until you use it. How does it stack up though compared to something like the triple green shell or other items that we have in the B tier? Because of its defense, I have it over the flowers, and honestly, I think I would also take it over the triple green shells. Sure, if you have really good aim, the triple greens would be preferred. I think the majority of players though are probably going to struggle with aiming green shells in a tight race, whereas the red shell will always find its target, unless of course it gets blocked. I also like that you don't have to worry about the red shell ricocheting back and hitting your own cart. I'm putting the red shell at the top end of our B tier. Now it's time for the Boomerang Flower, and man, I don't know, maybe I was sleeping on it in Mario Kart 8, or did it just get kind of a buff here? I think it feels pretty strong in Mario Kart World. You have to be precise just like with the green shell, but you can actually fire this up to 4 times. You also don't have to worry about it ricocheting back and hitting you either. And of course, it also takes advantage of that new aiming mechanic, so if you use the right stick, you can actually change the positioning of where you're going to fire this thing. As far as where it ranks, I feel like we're looking at some of the top-end B-tier items. I do think I like the precision of the Boomerang more than the other 2 flowers. Those seem to be a little bit more frantic and unpredictable, whereas the Boomerang is a little more consistent overall here in Mario Kart World. And then when you factor in the added aiming ability using the camera, you know what? My son also loves this one so much, I think we're going to give it the top spot here in the B tier. Now we have the coin, and as I mentioned previously when we ranked the coin box item, these give you around a 5% speed increase if you have them fully maxed out. What's great about coins though is that it's a passive boost, so this is going to apply for as long as you can hold on to them, which admittedly in Mario Kart a lot of times isn't very long. Now there is already some debate as to how important coins are in Mario Kart World, especially compared to Mario Kart 8. I do think we can already see though they definitely do have an impact. It's probably not something though that you should really go out of your way to obtain, especially if it causes you to lose momentum. I think what's fascinating about coins is that they don't seem to give the same speed increase for each coin. A YouTuber named Shortcat has made an excellent video breaking this down, and from that research we can see that the first 2 coins actually appear to be more valuable than the coins that you get from around coin number 5 to coin number 18. Then the last 2 give you another big percentage jump. And one thing about the coins is they actually seem to give an ever so slight speed boost now, the actual moment that you pick them up. I don't know, I haven't played Mario Kart 8 in a while, maybe that was already a thing, but overall though, how important is a 1 to 5% speed boost? Because that's really what we have to consider here when ranking the coins. Look, I'll say that I think coins are clearly important and they definitely give you a boost, but they're certainly not as powerful as many of the other items in Mario Kart World. And of course, they also have to be below the question block item, so I'm going to put them here at the bottom of our C tier. Up next is lightning, which is a back of the pack item that calls down lightning strikes on other drivers. This of course has been a very annoying Mario Kart item for many years. It's actually the only item in the game that has an instant impact on every other player on the track, unless of course they're being protected by something like a star or bullet bill. Lightning is of course an instant effect item that destroys any items that other racers are holding, shrinks them, and also slows them down. In past Mario Kart games, there's no doubt the lightning has really been a devastating and major moment of frustration when you get struck. In World though, the effect is definitely less pronounced. Your cart returns to its normal size and speed a good bit faster than in Mario Kart 8. We also have to take into consideration that you're only going to get this item when you're near the back of the race. So just how effective is it actually helping you gain some ground? Look, it still packs a punch, no doubt, and losing all your current items is never fun, but I think it pales in comparison to most of the other items that you could get at the back of the pack. I did strongly consider the B tier here actually, but because it affects all other players and it is an instant impact, I think that is just enough to bump it into the A tier. We already ranked the mushroom in our A tier, and now we have the triple mushroom item. Look, I'll just go ahead and say it. I think it's absolutely S tier. Getting 3 of these things will catch you up to other racers and in a hurry. It's honestly hard to use them incorrectly. I mean, just make sure you don't spam them all 3 together or use them when you already have a speed increase from something like a boost pad. Other than that, these are just outstanding. I mean, you can use them for recovery, you can use them to access shortcuts, you can also pair them with the star or use them to set up the perfect shot with something like a shell, or even use them to get just close enough with an item like a bomb. In fact, for final lap situations, I think I would definitely prefer getting the triple mushroom even over the superstar. You can cover so much more ground with 3 of these than you can with 1 star. So yeah, I think the triple mushrooms have to move into the top spot on our board so far. All right, now it's getting fun, man. We've got the triple red shells, and this one is tough. You know we're starting at least B tier here, but is there a case to put the triple red shells all the way in the S tier? Obviously, they do provide a nice layer of defense from incoming projectiles, but if you're in a position to get these, you're probably in a spot where you need to gain some placement, and I think 3 red shells are very effective at doing exactly that. Even if the driver in front of you blocks the first one, you can immediately fire another and almost always land at least 1 hit. So that's one spot you're moving up right there, and with a little luck on your side, you might connect with the final shell to move up yet again. Of course, if you get incredibly lucky, you can hit with all 3 shells and move up even more. Not to mention, you can even space these out and time them just right. If you see you're about to pass up another racer anyway, save it until you get just past them and then instantly fire it off. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I think there's just too much attack power here to keep the triple reds out of my S tier. Next, we have an item you only see when you're trailing far behind in a race, and that's the bullet bill. Here, you transform into a bullet bill and rocket along the course. This will send other drivers flying if you can run into them, but you do have less control with the bullet bill than something like the star. Look, man, I can't lie either. The bullet bill has long been one of my favorite items over the years playing Mario Kart. I love the animation of it, and it's just always been an item to help you turn things around when you're struggling in the back of the pack. Of course, it even grants invincibility, but there are other drawbacks when compared to something like the star. The star, for example, immediately gets consumed when you use it, so you can use other items on top of the star, just like we were talking about earlier. Even while you're using those items, you keep the invincibility active until the star wears off. On the bullet bill, though, you're locked into the animation, and you can't use other items until the bullet bill wears off. Oh man, I do think it's pretty close to being S tier, but then again, it doesn't pack quite the same punch when it hits other vehicles compared to the previous games. But should it be higher than triple mushrooms or triple red shells? Again, it's really all about the situation, right? Triple mushrooms, they're definitely more likely to appear when you're in a position to actually win the race. The bullet bill, it's only going to show up if you're really far behind. Red shells, they're also more likely to hit opponents thanks to their tracking. And then it's also like when you get it, right? Is it early in the race? Is it middle of the race or late in the race? You know what? I think I have to keep it in A tier. I will put it in the top spot of A tier, but I think it's going to stay there. The Boo is up next, and this one is really quite strong in Mario Kart World. It turns the driver transparent for a short time. Not only are you invisible, of course, you're also invincible as well during this time. The Boo item even blocks lightning strikes. It also lets you drive across rough parts of the track without slowing down, plus it will steal an item from a driver in front of you. The Boo definitely has the added benefit of giving you an item in return, but you also don't get that speed boost like you do from the bullet bill. Even so, I think the Boo should be right up near the top of the A tier along with the bullet bill. The Dash Food Bag is a new item in Mario Kart World that gives the driver a speed boost and may also change them into a different outfit. This is how you unlock alternate cosmetics for the primary racers in Mario Kart World. They're also relatively effective in races at giving you a little boost of speed, but not quite as much as what you'd see from a mushroom. There are also a few other differences. First, they don't actually come from item boxes. Instead, they're a completely separate pickup, and typically they're a bit out of your way compared to the other item boxes. They are guaranteed though, so whereas you have to roll the dice with usual item boxes for something like a mushroom, the Dash Food pickup is guaranteed when you grab it to give you a boost. You just have to decide on the fly if it's worth going a bit out of your way to grab one. Another drawback here is that the Dash Bag does not allow you to dodge blue shells like you can do with the mushroom. So I'm gonna put the Dash Food Bags here. Let's go at the end of the B tier. All right, now we have the Golden Dash Mushroom, and oh my goodness, you guys, this thing is insane in Mario Kart World. It also appears to spawn more often than in previous games, and let me tell you, if you're in the back of the pack, this is the item you want to see. Honestly, I want this more than a bullet bill. I want it more than a superstar. I want it more than triple mushrooms. You can go absolutely insane getting so many speed boosts with this thing. Now, sure, you are still vulnerable with this, but even when you get hit, you recover so fast in Mario Kart World that you almost always have enough time to start boosting again. Of all the items to make up ground as quickly as possible, this one is definitely S tier for me. And honestly, I think it easily takes our top spot. My kids, they've had fun arguing with me on the different rankings here I've done for this list, but the Golden Dash Mushroom, it was unanimous between all 3 of us. Top spot, S tier. And now, on the other side of that, we have the infamous Spiny Shell, or Spiky Blue Shell, as my friends and I always called it. Quite possibly one of the most annoying, one of the most infamous items in the history of Mario Kart. The Blue Shell seeks out the lead driver in a race and slams into any carts in its path along the way. Look, even if we don't consider the increased spawn rate of the horns, or that it's way easier to use the mushroom now to avoid it, the Spiny Shell still just isn't a great item for the player using it. I mean, think about it. You're often pretty far back when you get this thing, so while it may help someone in second or third win the race, it doesn't do much at all for you. Maybe if you get lucky, it'll take out a few others along the way and help you move up a few spots. But for where you get this item usually, there are so many other items that you'd rather see here. And yeah, guys, I think we have our first D tier here. Yep, I'm doing it. Spiny Shell, D tier. We have the Bombs up next, and they actually got a really nice buff here in Mario Kart World. Now, whenever you have one of these on the back of your cart, it acts as a defense item just like a shell, but the blast no longer affects you when the bomb goes off. I had to test this out a couple times because I didn't believe it at first. I've even tested it by sideswiping into other racers, and even then, the blast radius doesn't affect you at all. You can still throw them behind or out in front, and they'll detonate after a short time or if a driver runs into them. Because of that new defensive buff, I'm definitely going to put them here in B tier. I think they're better than the green shell, better than the coin shell. I'd probably have them just behind the fire and ice flowers, honestly. All right, now we've got the Blooper, and yeah, not a good item here at all. Using the Blooper, of course, sprays ink over drivers in front of you, physically blocking part of their vision on screen. No matter when you get this thing, though, it's just not going to help you much at all. I mean, yes, it's a slight annoyance for the other drivers along the track, but there are so many boost pads and mushrooms in this game, you can just quickly get rid of that effect. Even if you don't have either of those things to get rid of it, the effect only lasts a brief moment anyway. So the Blooper, you know what? It's joining the Spiny Shell down here in the D tier. The Mega Mushroom is back once again as well. This one is just super fun to use. I love the animation for the carts here when you use it. It's going to enlarge both the driver and the cart. It gives you a boost of speed, and because of your size, you can just flatten other racers as you travel along. You're also invincible while using this, even from lightning. So I think automatically a lot of those effects, we have to put it right up there alongside the Bullet Bill and the Boo. Again, you cannot use other items alongside it. It's going to stay in your inventory. I do think it gives you a little bit more control than the Bullet Bill, but not quite as much top end speed. It's also hard to say much about the duration when you compare like the Bullet Bill and the Mega Mushroom, because I'm pretty sure that they're both affected by just how far back you are in the race. This one is really tough, but I think I'll put it above the Boo and just behind the Bullet Bill. Again, though, solidly in the A tier. Up next, we have another new item, and it is the Coin Shell. This shell is kind of like a green shell, except it travels in a straight line, does not ricochet around like the green shell. It's also going to continue even as it crashes into other drivers, similar to how the Spiny Shell does as it moves along. Of course, the main perk here is the coins that follow as the shell travels. We've already discussed coins quite a bit in the video here, but having a sequence of them in a nice straight line, it can be a really nice way to build up coins fast without having to go out of your way. I should also add, it does have the added effect of working as a defensive item. It has to be at least here in the C tier with the green shell, and because of the coins, I'm going to put it just above the green shell. Another new item for Mario Kart World is the hammer, and I have to say, this item looks really cool when it's being used. I do wish it was stronger though. The hammers fly up in an arc, and of course you can send them forward or backward, and then after you throw them, they remain in the ground for a brief moment as little physical obstacles. I do think players are going to get better at using these over time. For example, I think they probably work best when you can throw them at more of a diagonal line, like across a group of racers instead of straight out in front of you. Throwing at kind of an angle, it's definitely going to give you a higher chance of covering more area and hopefully hitting someone. And I guess they could kind of be used for defense as well if you timed it just right and threw them at just the right angle behind you. But because they go high up in that arc, it's just not going to be nearly as reliable or easy to use as most of the other defensive items. Yeah, man, I mean, the hammers, they look awesome, but I'm afraid I can't go any higher than the C tier here. And lastly, we have what is one of the most controversial items in the game, and it's the Kamek orb. Using this will summon Kamek, and the actual description in the game says, quote, whose magic causes strange things to occur. Close quote. There you go, guys. Strange things. Well, that's certainly one way of putting it there, because this will transform some, but not always all of the racers in front of you. Then whatever those racers are transformed into, that creature can appear on the track as some sort of obstacle for other players. Honestly, the first couple times this happened, I didn't even realize it was Kamek summoning these things. They weren't really all that hard to avoid, and I actually just thought they were part of the track. Most of the conversation, though, around this item is how it bizarrely unlocks other characters. You don't even unlock characters by using the item itself. You have to have the item used on you, and then there's so much RNG to it. Yeah, we're not going to get into it here in this video. Let's stay focused on the actual item itself and its use in races, and there, I just don't really think it's that strong at all. Even the whole transformation thing, it's not always guaranteed. Not to mention, this thing is super rare to even get in the first place. It's not quite a back-of-the-pack item like, say, Lightning or a Bullet Bill, but even for a middle-of-the-pack item, you'd want to see just about anything else over this. The only reason people want to see this thing right now is to unlock characters, but once everyone has all the racers unlocked, I really don't think people are going to even give this a second thought when they get hit hit by this. At least with the Spiny Shell, it is somewhat consistent. You know it's going to seek out the player in first, possibly hit others along the way, and make that first racer do something to avoid it. The Kamek, though, it seems that nothing is guaranteed with this item. So yeah, D tier. In fact, you know what? I think it's the worst item in the game. And there you have it, guys, my ranking for every item in Mario Kart World from worst to best. I know you're going to let me know where you disagree. Put it down in the comments below. I've been having an absolute blast with the Switch 2 so far. You can check out my unboxing, some gameplay, and first impressions in the video over on the left side of your screen now. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.